Hello there. You are listening to Advancing Ideas, the Cultivators Community Podcast. Here we share real stories of real people making their ideas happen in big companies. My guest is Justin Schell, a director of decision and capital analysis at Highmark Health, who leads a team that helps the enterprise to make better decisions under uncertainty. And also, he supports key enterprise wide projects and ensures the company's strategic plan aligns with financial forecasts and capital allocation. And Justin leads the Evolve for Finance program, a workplace community for over 3,000 finance professionals at Highmark that is designed to equip finance leaders for the future. So, welcome, Justin.
Oh, it's great to be here. Thanks a lot.
So happy to talk to you. It's been so long time since we had the last conversation, but nevertheless, everything is happening in this online world. We have this async conversation, but still, first, before we start diving deeper into the theme, tell me one thing about you that I can't find on your LinkedIn profile.
Oh, wow. One thing about me that's not on my LinkedIn profile, I think it's going to be, I'm going to say that the fact that despite a job in quantitative work, I'm actually really bad at math. And so the story I always tell is that I took one calculus class in college and I got a C only because the professor had his exams available for you to study in the math office. And I memorized all the questions and answers. And luckily, he re-asked 80% questions from previous exams. So despite being in a math job, I am very bad at math.
So sometimes you just to have a good memory.
That's right. That's right.
Got it. Okay, so let's jump in the cultivators conversation. So, what was the first time you felt that you've influenced somebody's professional or personal life?
So, that's a really great question. It's hard for you to really like know the answer to like who professionally, you've really influenced. But there's one person in my life that I definitely know that I've influenced. That's my 6-year-old son, Daniel. And so the other day he was driving his remote control monster truck that he got for finishing kindergarten. And he excitedly turned to me and he said, my monster truck went between 50 and 100 miles an hour, which is completely inaccurate. But I was really excited that he gave a ranged estimate instead of a single point estimate, which is something I've been trying to teach him. And in my career and profession, giving ranged estimates are a pathway to being better at making decisions in the face of uncertainty. And so the fact that Daniel did that just out of the blue on his own, I was like, okay, I've influenced Daniel, for the rest of his life, hopefully in a positive way.
You'll see it only in the future. We never know what we create.
That's right. That's right.
So, and like before we have had this conversation on the record, you told me a little bit of your backside story before joining the Evolve project, how you transformed from being a typical auditor into someone who models this uncertainty. So tell me a little bit about your backstory.
Oh yeah, definitely. And so I was the typical CPA. I was doing risk management work, and I did it the way that CPAs do it: red, yellow, greens, high, medium, lows, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I just really felt like I wasn't really helping the enterprise make decisions. I was kind of like a risk referee. People would make the decisions, and then I would just write stuff down about what they did and what they thought the risks were. And so I really had this desire to help truly make the decisions. And I started this down a path. It really began with the chief information security officer at the time at Highmark Health, Omar Kawaja, inviting me to take a fair certification course in cyber risk quantification.
Hmm.
And then I stumbled upon a book written by Dr. Sam Savage called The Flaw of Averages. And it all of a sudden was like somebody gave me glasses to see the world clearly for the first time in my career. And I really started working on training myself and learning about uncertainty modeling. And now I have a set of philosophies that I think the typical kind of auditor would find a little bit against standard practice and perhaps even a little bit insane. So I've kind of coined myself as this risk mad scientist. And that's really what my career is about. And what's been really cool is the last 5 years, I've helped make more direct decisions in than I did in the first 15 years of my career. And
Wow.
that's just like it's been like a joy for me. And so I wanted to really help um, Highmark as an organization take these skills, things like ranged estimates versus single point estimates, and really kind of like take them out into the space. And so I work with some of my colleagues, Lauren Ferrience, John Seminario, Dina Chichina, and we created a 16-week um, course, uncertainty modeling training course, where we actually help people to make a similar transition to what I did.
Yeah.
And that's really kind of like where I became kind of the Highmark's resident risk match scientist is what I call myself.
And tell me a little bit more about this Evolve project. Like how were you drawn to it, and what you already tell me that you wanted to help other people to transition, like, but what were your like main goal or something that you were hoping to accomplish when you started it?
Yeah, well, so Evolve for Finance was started by Dr. Elizabeth Carter, and she was transitioning out of the that program. It was one that was done, kind of as the pandemic was really kind of in its in it deep in its throes, and we're all locked in our houses. And the chief investment officer, John Horner, he tapped me and he said, "Hey, Justin, I'd like you to take this over because I can see through your personal kind of development story, the uncertainty modeling program that you created. That's like what we want development to be about in finance. This like journey where it's, you're helping people to kind of like transform their skills and change the way that they do things." So he tapped me for that. And I think that I also I really see people as being able to contribute more than they are today, all of us. And I think it's just about helping people to find that passion and kind of connect to something that they get excited about at work. And so I love doing that. And then I'm also, and this is perhaps a little bit annoying for some people, I'm the type of person that desperately wants everyone to love their work, their career, and their company. I desperately like when I see someone that maybe seems like down on their work and their
Mhm.
career, I want to like help them, to find that joy in what they do. And
Yeah.
so that's kind of like how I got started in leading the Evolve program and where my vision for Evolve came from.
Does it work?
I think it does. I think it does. At the individual level, right? So I know that maybe 25, 50 people over the last couple of years we've influenced and we've inspired and we've helped them to experience something that they maybe haven't experienced before. Perhaps it doesn't work at scale. So if you're trying to like, if I'm going to say like, are we going to take 3,000 people and turn them into like love their job, love their company, and like have this educational transformation? No, that's not going to happen. But I know that we're influencing some people and we're kind of helping them on that journey.
As they say, you can take the horse to the river, but you can't make it drink. So I wonder, what is one thing that has to be changed in people's minds for them to really start loving what they're doing?
Wow, that's a great. I think it's that they have to understand how what they do connects to something that's meaningful, right? So there's a great movie from the 2000s, Office Space, right, where Richard's doing his TPS reports, um, and he just is disengaged from it because he like does this report and like he doesn't know really how any of it matters. And I think sometimes we get that in especially in large organizations, you're like a small piece of the cog,
Yeah.
and so it's hard if you can connect what you do to something that matters. Helping a Highmark member to find care, to afford their care, to be able to be their best self and to embrace wellness, it's hard sometimes for finance people to know how that connection happens. And so
Hmm.
if you're able to help someone create that link, then all of a sudden I think you find people will get like really passionate about what they do.
And still, it sounds a little bit of hard way, a little bit of hard journey of like how to. But yeah, I totally get it. And I also I'm talking to many different people, and what I notice in people who are the happiest that they are curious. They always find and they're always trying to learn from almost everything. Even I don't know. They watch they see the tree in front of them, and they see how the leaves are moving under the wind, and they're like, oh, I can learn from the which might sound a little bit of crazy, but still, I feel like it's a very, very important component of also loving what you are doing.
That does resonate with me. I'm the type of person that could spend could go on a tour of a place where they do oil changes on cars and spend like hours just like learning about what all the things are. And like when I meet someone, I'm generally interested in like what they do and how they do it and why they do it.
Yeah.
And there's nothing to me that seems a career or job that seems mundane. There's something about it, that I and so I kind of agree. You got to be curious, you know.
Yeah, yeah, totally. And coming back to the Evolve program, so what was or still is the main challenge that you faced or still facing while working on this program?
So I think this happens with all programs where the people who are doing the work are doing this as a side of the desk activity.
Exactly.
Is that um, Organizations are very transitional, especially large organizations. People come and go, reorgs happen. And so I think the main challenge we face with Evolve is always keeping ourselves fueled with people that have kind of the time and energy to say, I'm going to create a development experience for my colleagues in finance, and I'm going to kind of help deliver that. And so I'm always thinking like, how we bring in new people? How are we transitioning our pillar leads? So we have pillar leads that are in charge of things like Evolved Unleashed is for our individual contributors in the organization. Evolve for Leaders is to help our leaders realize their best selves and create an engaging environment for their team members. And then the Evolve Mentoring Program, which is connecting people to quality mentors and helping them have those good experiences. Those pillar leads, like for example, there's some of them have been pillars for 2 years, and we're starting now a 6-month transition of some of those folks,
Hmm.
to make sure that someone new comes in, connects, and is energized. That's the biggest challenge that you have. And I think that the solution for that is it starts with the person who leads these engagement programs or these development programs. The program needs to be part of their job.
Hmm. Hmm.
So when I talked to John Warner about my work at Highmark, and we have weekly updates or bi-weekly updates, part of what we talk about is Evolve. And
Yeah.
if someone asks me, what's your job at Highmark? Evolve is part of my job. It's not something that I do on the side. So that's the first thing that has made a difference. The second thing is that attention to transition. That you just got to keep on transitioning all the time.
Do you ever feel like a salesperson trying to get more people on the program?
Oh yes, yeah, I do. That's I and I'm always trying to keep our participation up in our events. And I'm always trying to say like, what do people want? What like sparks interest? One of the things that we've started this year, um, uh, uh, Cody's one of our pillar leads. We have a show called that we started a little, and it's a goal. It's a 15-minute video segment called Behind the Numbers, where Cody and I interview someone in the company and on what we consider the hot topic. So that's like I was trying like, how do we bake this down into something that's short that people can consume quickly, and then maybe we can do like a larger event off of that. So like and so that's like us trying to be a little salesy. I was like, how do we get like people to like, how do we meet them where they're at with like that people are busy? Okay, let's try this like thing. And it's like, it's so far it's been pretty successful.
What's part in it takes fun?
I think what's fun is seeing people get outside of their silos. So so for example, Leanne Doran is one of our pillar leads, and she is a director of managed care contracting at Allegheny Health Network. And so she's at the hospital, managing the revenue side, the contracts that the hospital has with different insurers. And my job is in the treasury division at the enterprise level. Those two people don't often work together. They don't come in contact with each other. And so what I think is really cool and was fun is those developing those sort of interactions and creating those connections. And every once in a while, you're going to get some equity from those interactions. So Leanne has sent two of her team members through the uncertainty modeling program. And very recently, there was a business problem that one of her team members generated an uncertainty model to help solve that business problem. And I was like, wow, that's the fruits of Evolve, right? Because that's where Leanne and I got connected, and that we were able to produce something that was innovative for the enterprise through that.
How do you make totally different people from different parts of the company work together and even be engaged in this program?
So that's got to come from leadership, right? So you have to have your senior vice presidents, your executive vice presidents talking about the program and going to their people and saying, I think it's important for you to take some time and get involved in this. And I know that time is money, people's time is limited, but you have to have that. It's hard to like organically build that. If you organically build it, it's gonna ebb and flow, right? So I think that's the starting point for that.
And I feel like you've already had this support when you started.
I have, and the executive the finance leadership team at Highmark Health is very committed to this and very supportive. I think one of the challenges we've had, and this kind of goes back to transition. So we have a new enterprise CFO that came on, and I have to admit I didn't anticipate the effect that would have on Evolve, because the enterprise CFO, that's a challenging job, right? Right? It's like, hey, come on, here's this $20 billion company. You need to learn it, right?
Yeah.
Right. So like, and their job first and foremost is the financial stability of the Highmark Health enterprise and making sure that they're delivering the capital to fuel our strategy, right? We're here to help people live healthier lives. And so the enterprise CFO has to like learn all that stuff, get integrated in all that. Healthcare is challenging, right? I mean, you ask anyone in the
Yeah.
United States, healthcare is challenging. And so it's hard for them to say, okay, now here's this like risk med scientist guy that's going to like come and bug you about Evolve, right? So I think I should have anticipated that, like, and been more thoughtful about the challenge that the new enterprise CFO is going to have to go through as they come on. And I should have probably done a better job during this transitional period, maybe working more at like a divisional level to kind of keep up some of the engagement. But these are things that we'll work through over time because the commitment's there.
Yeah, exactly. It's always, while you add in something to someone's plate, it's always uneasy. It's
It
always
is.
uneasy.
Yeah, it definitely is. And I think that's why when we said, is do I feel like a salesperson? There's a value proposition, right? I have to deliver a value proposition. Every time I say to someone, you got to come and I want you to come and spend a half an hour, 15 minutes or an hour with me, or commit to helping me work on this. There has to be some sort of true value proposition that they get out of it.
Name one setback that you had and what did you learn from it?
Well, so I think that's the setback, is keeping our momentum, as the new enterprise CFO came on. I think that and also kind of like with that as well is a little bit of kind of the return to more in-person work
Mhm,
also.
mhm.
This hybrid environment, the fully remote environment was kind of great for these things because it was like easy to like get everyone into it.
Yeah.
And now as you're trying to serve like in person, hybrid and different modalities, at the same time, you're also kind of having a leadership transition. Um, it's we our momentum kind of has we've taken a hit from our momentum, and so now we gotta. So what I've learned is I should have anticipated. I got to look for those momentum hits sooner, and say, okay, what am I going to do to kind of like maintain our momentum through it? So that's certainly something that I learned.
Got it. Got it. And if you were, I know that you joined this program while it's already been created, but if you had started working on this program now,
Yeah.
what is one thing that you would have done differently?
I think I would have focused a little more on how do I get more programs like the uncertainty modeling cohort rather than kind of lunch and learn style programs of development. So lunch and learns are great because it's a great way of like helping people be more aware of what's going on around them, helping to break down silos. But I think the real value comes from, um, programs that have where people do things and have some sort of outcome that they can take with them or outcome that affects their workplace. So I think that we have the uncertainty modeling program that my team runs is not unique in our enterprise. There are other
Mhm.
groups that do something similar. Our underwriting area has like an underwriting university that they have that's like pretty popular. I should have, spent more time like engaging those parts and having those be the underpinnings of our development with, the lunch and learns being the icing on the cake. I think if I had to do it over again, that's what I would have done.
By the way, I'm curious, are you collaborating somehow or interact with other program leaders?
We are. So, we have an engagement council, and the engagement council, and this is, we work with them pretty closely because we want to try to evolve is about development and education. The engagement council is about people feeling like they belong at work.
Mhm, mhm,
And
mhm.
so we interact very often. We talk and say, like, how can we combine programs? How can we, be aware of what each other's doing so we don't like run into each other? So that's a good example of someone that, another kind of program group that we work with pretty closely.
Got it. I was just curious, like if there is something in your company where leaders are connecting, like brainstorming, like, okay, we have this program, we have this, how to make it even better experience for people, combining this program, creating some course or whatever. Like, I'm curious, but yeah, I totally get it. And what are, from your perspective, what are the three smallest actionable steps for any cultivator, for any person who try to advance their ideas or to make some positive changes happen within these big corporate companies? Uh, what are the three smallest actionable steps they have take to make it happen?
Oh, I definitely, this is something I think a lot about, and I think this actually helps with not just building development programs or culture programs in organizations, but even like just getting your regular work done and being successful in your objectives. The first thing is always start with why. Simon Sinek has a great book, Start with Why. And it's like, why are we doing this? What do we believe will be the experience or outcome for our company if we do this? So, like my personal why is that I believe that we can make better decisions in the face of uncertainty. I believe that is, and that's my why for what I do. The second one is you have to pick a measurable outcome to track to, and this is like, this is a little risk mad science here that so many people say, well, you can't measure that, right? That's like often an excuse that's made for risk, like it's unquantifiable. that's not true. Everything you do has some sort of measurable outcome. And so and it may not be direct, it may be indirect, but you have to say, this is the outcome we want to influence. And you've got to be clear and you got to make it measurable and you have to measure it. Because that's also what leadership's attracted to, right? They're there to make outcomes. Your company is there to make outcomes. And so if you create a measurable outcome, then people will be attracted to it. And then the last one, Dr. Sam Savage, he's a great mentor of mine. I owe him a lot and I've learned a lot in my career from him. Build paper airplanes, not real airplanes. And so this is what he means by this is, if you're building a model or you're starting a culture program, if you build this like giant working plane and it's not right,
Yeah.
we have this like we hold on to it. We're like, oh my God, this thing I built, I can't like change it. So you make a paper airplane, because if you throw your paper airplane and it doesn't work, you like crumple it up and throw it in the trash and make a new one, right?
Yeah.
And so when you start to cultivate a new idea, a new culture, a new program, build small working paper airplanes and to test out what you're doing. And do you get the outcome you want? Do people connect to the why? And if they don't, crumple it up, throw it away, and start again. Make a new one. And then, because it was a paper airplane, who cares, right?
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
those are my three kind of like key action items for cultivators.
It's interesting. I'm very much like working with product development, and it's very pretty much the same idea that you don't have to build a product, just create a website, run some ads, get some leads, see what people if they are interested, and then just only then start building the product. So I totally get what you're talking about. And Justin, I wish to have the sky is the limit, but time is the limit. So the
Yeah.
final question, you
Yeah.
already named two books still. Name one book or podcast or a person from whom you learned the most.
I have to say the Flaw of Averages and Dr. Sam Savage, his book. He actually has a new book called Chancification. Highmark is actually in one of the case studies in that book. He is a great teacher in that he creates a space for people to come and experiment without judgment,
Hmm.
and to fail and to have fun failing. And so reading his book, and listening to him and working with him, it helped me to become the risk mad scientist, or the help me get a career that's just so joyful for me. And so that's always my tops.
Got it. Got it. Justin, thank you so much for openly sharing your cultivators journey. And one more thing, what is the
Yeah.
best way to connect with you?
Oh, so LinkedIn's certainly the best way to connect with me, and if you're going to send me an invite on LinkedIn, I think what's important is you have a question, have like what's your idea that you're trying to advance, advancing ideas, and that's probably the best way to connect with me.
Yeah, got it. And once again, thank you very much for sharing such a valuable experience for all the change makers in the world who want to make a difference.
Oh, thank you for having me. This is a real pleasure. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much and see you in the cultivators community.